The only time that truckers are supposed to be stopping along the side of the road is in an absolute emergency condition that they can't avoid.
Is it possible to be injured in an accident with an 18-wheeler even if it's not moving? Well, that's what we're going to find out because we're going to Ask the Lawyer today. Hi again, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com, and my guest is attorney Grant Lawson with the Metier Law Group in Wyoming. Grant, good to see you again. Thank you for making some time for us.
Yes, absolutely. Great to see you as well. Even though it's by video again, it's a pleasure to be here today with you.
You know, when people think about 18-wheeler crashes, you think about it barreling down the highway, but you're here to tell us that sometimes it can happen when the truck is standing completely still. Explain that to us.
Yeah, so it's commonly known throughout the industry as a sitting duck. Trucks that are stopped or parked along the highway or the roadside are known as a sitting duck because they're easily and I had to look this up to think about it. What is a sitting duck? It's an easy target. And it's an easy target because there are giant vehicles, giant 18-wheeler vehicles that are parked along the side of the road, and they're inviting collision. They're inviting tragedy. And it's a very sad statistic that up into the 90th percentile of those crashes result in fatalities.
Wow.
Because they're so severe that when one vehicle hits another parked commercial motor vehicle or 18-wheeler, it's usually such tragic results that it ends up in fatality or very, very severe injuries. So within the industry, it's known that trucking companies promote to their drivers, do whatever you can not to stop on the highway unless it's absolutely an emergency. If you can find a place to pull off, whether it's an exit or a safe parking zone, you have to do it. The only time that truckers are supposed to be stopping along the side of the road is in an absolute emergency condition that they can't avoid because it's just such a common phenomenon known that these trucks are asking for tragedy when they're parked alongside the road.
Can you give me an example or two that you've seen in your practice of cases where this has happened with either a stopped or really slowly moving truck?
Yeah, sadly, when a truck driver's been driving for so long, they've become exhausted and they pull over on the side of the road, whether to actually sleep or take a break or if they stop to use the restroom outside facilities, so to speak.
Right.
Those are common times or common instances where unfortunately that has happened. They park alongside the road and it causes a collision with another vehicle coming down the road and has resulted in tragic conditions and circumstances. And that is something that's absolutely not allowed. It's not allowed not only under the federal motor carrier safety regulations, but also under the CDL license, whether it's Florida or Washington State. Those CDL licenses that truckers operate under dictate that you don't stop on the side of the road unless it's an absolute emergency. And so there's other instances I can give you, but those are just common ones that have happened in the past, unfortunately. But there are also legitimate emergency conditions where truck drivers have to stop on the side of the road because they have no alternative. But it has to be a legitimate no alternative situation that causes them to do so.
And are there times then, Grant, where it's up to interpretation, or I'm sure the trucking company or the driver if there were an accident, they want to say, oh, he didn't have any choice. But I'm thinking an attorney like yourself can do an investigation to determine whether it was an emergency or not.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be based upon a lot of factors, which take investigation, not only by the appropriate law enforcement who comes to the scene, but also there may be reconstruction of the scene that is necessary, where we hire engineering experts to come in and actually put together all the factors, pull data from the black box or the ECM, electronic control module, that gives us information about what that trucker did, when he stopped, what he was doing, what speeds were going on, whether his hazards lights were on, whether any of the other lighting was on. There's issues with conspicuity, this big word that means reflective tape, reflective stuff on the truck, whether the truck could even be seen or the trailer could even be seen by the traveling public. There's a lot of factors that go in to whether or not there was actually a legitimate purpose, number one, but number two, did they follow the rules and the requirements when they pull over? Now, there's rules that they have to immediately go out and set out safety triangles. And a lot of people have probably seen those as you're driving down the road. There's a truck stopped on the road. The safety triangles they put on the road that are staggered at an exact distance that gives the traveling public notification of that hazard that they're coming upon.
Right.
Also hazard lights, and like I said, the conspicuity, the reflective tape, because a lot of times at night, there has to be adequate notice given that there's a hazard up ahead.
What's your advice to the traveling public, the people that are traveling on the roads, if they come across a situation like that and they see a truck on the side of the road? What's your advice to help avoid that turning into something tragic?
Well, absolutely slow down. Number one, if you start to see reflective triangles on the road, you see hazard lights, slow down and do anything you can to get in the left lane to if there is a left lane, right. Assuming if it's a 2-lane highway, that may not always be the case, of course, but slow down, take your time. A lot of times you're in highway or interstate traffic, multiple lanes, it's busy, and you get trapped or sucked into being in that one position.
Right.
So you can only do so much in those circumstances, but if you can, slow it down, really practice good defensive driving strategies to try and help prevent an accident and help you and the people in your car from getting hurt. Seems like weather could be an issue in these kind of situations too, where you are, whether it's snow or rain or other things. Oh man, 100%, especially here in the Rocky Mountains where we encounter really, really treacherous conditions in the wintertime with icy roads, snowy and icy conditions, blowing snow conditions. And unfortunately, as we had this year, multiple 80 to 100 car truck pileups on the interstates because trucks end up having to stop, or whether they stop in the road or they're pulled over on the side. And it causes really, really tragic conditions where people just can't slow down, they can't get out of the way, and we know what the results are. So Grant, in your experience, have you found that sometimes the trucking company would then try to blame the passenger vehicle for the collision? Is that a common thing? Oh, absolutely. Of course, every time we're in one of these types of litigation, the insurance companies who are paying for the representation of the trucking company will go to no end to try and blame anybody else they can, to not take responsibility, to avoid accountability, so that they don't have to pay the money that's owed to those who are hurt and families of those killed. That's why it's important to have somebody on your side who's not afraid to take on those big insurance companies, right? Absolutely, and don't fall into the trap that they'll kind of give you, throw a bone at you for, well, you should settle this case, we'll give you some money. Well, don't fall into the trap. If you have one of those cases, you have to have an attorney who knows all of these details to maximize what is owed to those who are hurt and the families of those killed. And so we see that a lot. We see, unfortunately, lawyers who are settling out cases in those circumstances well below what the value is and what people are really truly owed. And so that's something that's really important for the public to know, to make sure they're getting in touch with the right team to help them and fight for them. Grant, as usual, great information. I learn something every time we talk. Thank you for your help. Hey, thank you. Really appreciate it. That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been Wyoming attorney Grant Lawson with the Metier Law Firm. If you'd like the best information, or you'd like to make sure you can choose a lawyer that lawyers choose, be sure to go to askthelawyer.com. Also, please take a second to subscribe down below so you'll know when future episodes are available. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com.